Hey, Danny.
Hi, Lance.
I want to talk about Halloween 2, the greatest sequel to any horror movie ever.
Okay.
This is my favorite sequel, possibly one of my favorite movies. I do say often that Halloween 6 is my favorite. We'll talk about that later. But Halloween 2, Danny, give us our pumpkin spice latte of Halloween 2.
Halloween 2, more of the night he came home.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is a direct continuation of Halloween 1 in the sense that it is a continuation of the night. So, Michael Myers, fresh off of being shot by Dr. Loomis, returns or continues to wreak havoc in Haddonfield and continues to stalk Laurie Strode and pretty much anyone who gets in his way. This takes place, the majority, in Haddonfield Memorial Clinic. So we learn a little bit more about the why as to Michael going after Laurie,
Which is a big controversy.
it's a big controversy. And yeah, it is a continuation, and Loomis is back to help and possibly take down Michael and save Laurie in the process. Halloween 2, more of the night he came home, or Halloween 2, the nightmare isn't over.
Right. And why do I love this film so much? Because it's
I don't know. Sorry.
You like the
I
movie.
do like this film.
You
I
like
do
this
like
movie.
this film.
Don't say that you don't. But the
do.
reason I love this movie so much, we love Halloween 1. This is a direct bleed over of Halloween 1.
Yeah.
We do get away from Halloween 1 a little bit and some off-screen kills, and Michael starts to evolve, which I think is so necessary.
Sure.
But I love this movie because it's just a flat bleed out of 1, and we get more Michael Myers and more Loomis, which I love Loomis.
Who doesn't
Loomis
love
is
Loomis?
my favorite character of this franchise, and I think he's so necessary in making Michael different. So let's get into Halloween 2 and why I love it and why you are mediocrely into it.
Incorrect. I'm not mediocre about it.
Okay.
I just don't share your belief that it's the greatest sequel in horror movie history
Yeah.
and or the greatest sequel in this franchise.
Right.
But
But you're wrong. It's okay.
and you are too. So here we are. No, I love Loomis too. We got him as a puppy. He's a multi-poo.
Oh my God, you're talking about your dog.
Oh right.
You
sorry.
transitioned into that so smoothly. I'm like,
I have
is there symbolism to this? He's a new puppy. Like he's new to us. We care about him. No, you're talking about your dog.
I'm talking about
Okay.
my dog. I have a multi-poo puppy, dog at this point, and his name is Loomis. So it's not like I'm not a fan of the Doctor. I love the Doctor. I mentioned in the previous episode, it might have been a little bit of a gaffe or a misspeak, where I say that no one has played is played by one human being, as in Donald Pleasance, and that's obviously not true. Someone else plays Dr. Loomis in the remakes, but
We don't talk about that.
we're not going to, because we're going to talk about Donald Pleasance right now. Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis is back. The first one came out in 78, and this one came out in 81. So there is some things that could be different. I don't know. In a couple of years, you could maybe gain a bunch of weight. As if you're a person, that's normal. You can get a little older. So we see Loomis is not as, streamlined. His jaw, his beard is evolved a little bit. Although
Okay.
I mean,
It was a long night.
it was a long night, and
It's only halfway over.
it is. The nightmare isn't over.
Remember, this is the continuation of the same night from Halloween 1.
Correct. And what was the last thing the last thing we saw of any consequence in 78 Halloween 1 was Loomis firing 6 shots into Michael at pretty much point blank range. Michael falling off the balcony and then eventually leaving, and we don't know where he is. But Halloween 2, we do know where he is.
Yeah, what does Loomis say about how he shot him?
I think he says, I shot him 6 times. I shot him 6 times. He's not human. Something like that.
He says, this guy, which is my favorite part of the whole thing, as they're getting back into the car. This guy.
This guy, it's almost like this fucking guy.
This fucking guy. I shot him 6 times.
And again, Still, we weren't joking. Nobody believes Loomis, even right now. Nobody cares. Brackett comes, he's late to the party. He's like, what happened? And Loomis is, by the way, Brackett's back. But when we see Brackett in the beginning of the film, he has no idea that one of the victims from the original was his dear daughter, Annie. Oh, which is, I'd be sick about it too, Lance. I mean, it's terrifying. So... so Annie is one of the victims, but Brackett doesn't know this at this point. So he picks up Loomis, and they're gonna go. And Brackett's just like, you probably missed. He's not far. So Loomis is back. Obviously picking up where he left off, and he's looking for Myers. The opening of the movie is so awesome when you don't know what death is, and then we get into the newly kind of reconstructed Halloween theme. John Carpenter and Deborah Hill are back as writers,
right?
But not as director. Rick Rosenthal, who directed also another installment in the franchise,
We won't talk about it until later.
is helming the movie. So Dean Cundy is back as the director of photography. So for all intents and purposes, it should be a nice continuance. However, there was some pullback or pushback by a lot of people that were like, Carpenter didn't want to do it. He was like, all right, I'll write it because he was in a picture deal with Universal, and Universal's doing it now. It's no more indie films.
Right.
So Universal's doing it now. So it's going to have some backing. And right away, the original opened with this pumpkin, being in the,
That's right.
in the credits, and now we have a new pumpkin, but the pumpkin pulls apart.
It's pulling apart. We got a skull in there, and I love I don't know if it's intentional. I've never heard anyone talk about it, but the symbolism of like death and Halloween to me is really, really cool.
Well, there is a lot of death symbolism in Halloween because the crops are,
and it becomes a thing
Yeah.
in a lot of Halloween openings. Some nail it, some don't, but it kind of becomes a thing where it's a part of the Halloween franchise. This opening and the symbol of the harvest, and
right away they're going to tell us we know what we're doing in the sense of we know that this is a sequel,
right?
And we're going to show you something that you're used to with this opening sequence of the pumpkin, but we're gonna spice it up a bit.
That's right. And don't forget that this is 1981, so now we've already had copycats of the original Halloween and its success. Friday the 13th. We have quite a few movies. The slasher essence is becoming a big thing in the 80s. So this is 1981. We're getting a sequel to what started all of this, really, which was Halloween, Michael Myers.
But it's the early 80s, but we're already seeing that iconic 80s feel in the theme. There's a bit more. It's piano, but there's like some synth there.
Yeah,
I mean, there was already synth in the original. Don't get me wrong, but there's more now in this part.
And it became like such a Carpenter thing throughout the 80s and all his films. This synth starts to hit.
Yeah. So he's doing the score as well. So right away, that we should enjoy this throughout, and you're gonna love this movie. It's gonna give you everything that you wanted and a little bit more, because it's gonna give you a little bit more high body count. The shock value is gonna be pumped up. There's gonna be more gratuitous nudity, all these things that you would expect from these 80s slasher movies. You're gonna get in this movie. Does it necessarily fit the original's scope? Probably not. Not that you didn't see nudity in the original. But this one is going to be a little bit more. They're going to have some fun with it.
You got to raise the stakes a little bit. You got to raise those levels. All the little levels are going up.
You got to raise the ribeyes.
You just have to.
You gotta raise.
So I love the opening of this. Not the opening, but the first part of Michael that we get.
Oh yeah,
this is great POV.
Yeah.
Michael's been shot 6 times. He's fallen off of the house, basically the second level of the house. And now we get like this hurt Michael. We don't see him in pain or anything, but we get to see this POV of him like in a survival mode, which I love. So he's in the alleyway. He sees Loomis. He sees Sheriff Brackett.
Yep. And he's avoiding them.
Right. But it's all this this great like one shot idea of like moving with the shape, who is like hurt I mean, he's been shot. He's been through hell. He's been stabbed. He's been through all these things, but he's still alive. It's still the same night. He still has a fucking mission.
And he fell off a 2-story building.
Right.
House.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So he's hurt.
he's hurting. So what does he do?
Well, he's got to power up, right? So he has to power up, Lance.
Yes. This is the level up idea
this
that
is
I
your-
love. It's
this
just
is-
like a video game.
This is your deal, man. I love this idea of him being like this video game character that doesn't have all his items yet.
Right.
You know?
So it's just like the sequel of a video game, right? You got to start. You may have powered up in game 1, but now we're in game 2 at the beginning. So now we got to start all over again. So we got to rebuild our power bars up.
So
here.
he's got to get his knife. He's got his mask. He's got his coveralls. By the way, real quick about the mask. It might not look like the original, but it is. It is the original. What are we talking? Okay, so what's that? 78, between 78 and 81. Was that 4 years?
2 years, 3 years,
10 years?
10.
16 years. It's about 20 years. So it's a couple of years or a few years after the original. But during that time, again, they did not think that this movie was talking about the original was going to be a huge success, but
Right.
it was. There was a lackadaisical kind of approach to it. Again, Guerrilla Crew sort of just making this independent film. So in between takes, Nick Castle would put the mask, crumple it up, put it in his back pocket.
Why
like
not?
a fucking rock star he is.
Right.
Why not? I'm gonna go drink a Dr. Pepper, have a smoke, and put my
Just gonna say same thing. Why not? Who cares?
yeah. So that's what happened to the mask during the shooting, and then after they were done, Deborah Hill took it when it lived under her bed.
Right.
And Deborah Hill famously was a very a heavy smoker. So you're talking about smoking, the mistreatment of it. It's going to look different. Not only that, but we have no more Nick Castle. We have a brand new Dick Warlock.
Yes.
A brand new Dick Warlock.
Brand new Dick Warlock.
Yeah, he's quite the young spry guy. He is hired to be the stunt coordinator, but he's also like, hey, I'll just play Michael because
Right.
he put on the mask and he walked around, and they're like, go ahead. So, Dick Warlock is he's a little bit beefier than Nick Castle, stockier rather. He's got a bigger head, so the mask is not only treated like shit,
Yeah.
but it's going to be stretched out a little bit. So that's why it looks a little crusty. The hair looks like it was like burned with like when you get the match and the aerosol and you're like, that's
Yes.
what it looks like it happened.
Yeah. It looks crusty. It is crusty.
It is crusty. So the mask may look different, but the shape of it, the shape of the shape is
shape of the
meant
shape.
to look the same. But with a new guy playing it who's going to have different mannerisms and all that stuff.
Even though he tried. Apparently he watched the first movie so often. He was a big fan of the character that Nick Castle portrayed.
He's got a bit of a bounce when he walks, if you notice. Like
But- and
either his hands bounce or I don't know what
Well,
it is.
he brings a stiffness to Michael that I guess everyone kind of seemed to take away more of the stiffness than they took from Nick Castle's
Yeah.
like playful, like bouncing around kind of a thing.
But what I love about how this movie picks up is that again, we're going to reintroduce you to things that you loved from the original, but we're going to, spice them up.
Right.
So they give us a POV shot, but not really a lot of, like, we see him, we see his point of view, we see him, we see his point of view, and he's going through the alleys, and we're kind of still following that idea that Michael just kills at random. He just doesn't need a reason, he just kills. Because when he's trying to level up, he finds an opportunity to get a knife from the Elrods.
The Elrods.
I mean, this is cool. I mean, you got the horathon. Like, remember, the night is still happening, so it's a continuation. So the horathon is still happening, and he happens upon these Elrods who are, their horathon is interrupted so that he can, because there's a news breaking bulletin about what's
Right.
happened. The news is broken. There's a killer on the loose in Haddonfield. He was shot, but we can't find him.
Right. And this is a big moment because this is like the legend of Michael is starting to go throughout the town. If you watch the first movie, the only jumpy character is not the only jumpy character, but Loomis is kind of jumpy in the first movie. And in the second movie, he's very jumpy. But the legend of Michael is now starting to filter out through Haddonfield through this news program, which is really cool. Continue.
I mean, yeah. So he Miss Elrod is making one of the best freaking sandwiches that I've ever seen in my life because she's got a hunk of ham.
I know.
Yeah,
making me
she's
hungry
got a
just
hunk of
thinking
ham
about it.
asleep on the couch is what she has.
That's right.
in Mr. Elrod, and she's at Earl. You want mustard on? You want mayonnaise on your sandwich? How about mustard? And no answer because the hunk of ham has fallen asleep. So she goes to check out what's going on, and that's where Michael gets to get the knife. But we are reinforced with the idea that he is wounded because not only does he get the knife, but he leaves blood from his wounds in the wake, causing Miss Elrod to reach for the knife, sees that it's not there, screams out loud, but he doesn't kill him.
He does not kill him, which I think is a point to be made. That he doesn't kill everyone in his way. He could have killed both of them.
Yeah, well, what is it, like Predator? No sport. He doesn't see that being a challenge or anything like that. Does that matter?
Okay, so this is my level up thing. He's got his knife. He's not ready to kill yet, maybe. He's got to power up. So he's at level 1. He's got his weapon now. We already have our base Michael, our base shape. So now he's got his knife. Now he's got to make a kill.
He's got to make a kill. And it's the concerned neighbor who is learning about what's happened so far. And, she's on the phone with her friend and she said, she's like, I heard Miss Elrod screaming. She's always picking on her husband. He probably got mad and decided to start beating her. Anyway, how's your day? It's just
domestic violence, man.
Just thrown so whimsically.
And again, we're not laughing at domestic violence. We're laughing at the dialogue
at
of this movie.
How she's just like, it's so accepted that he probably decided to start beating her. I mean, okay. So then Michael sees this sort of, she may have looked like the people that I murdered already.
Yeah, I don't
know.
He starts stalking her. We get stalking Michael again, and we get this girl who's afraid of something that's happening down the street.
Because the door opens, you see him creep in, behind her. All the stuff is, happening again, and a big jump scare, which we didn't see in the original. More shock value, like I mentioned, is being added. So she's, walking, he jumps up, and it's like, doo, There's music accompanied with the action. It scares the shit out of you. He stabs her. But what do we see that's different now? Not only does he kill her, blood splatter.
Yeah,
there was actually not absolutely, but no real blood in the original.
No blood, and definitely no splattering, no effects of blood in the first movie. So
the table's being set that get ready for a ride. We're vicious. We're more vicious.
Yeah, we also immediately see the shape up close. We see the mask,
and we see his eyes.
His eyes.
We never saw that with the original shape, which I will go on record I don't like.
Okay.
I know that there's something behind that. It's just, it's a human element because yes, it looks like a human, but I've always liked the idea that the eyes are black, not blacked with a screen. Let me make that very clear. Just shot in a way that you don't see his eyes. That's me personally.
I like it again because it's like that rebuilding of he's not human, but he is at the base. He is a human, but the idea is that he's this ultimate evil. But we see him hurt.
But I'm saying, like, when you see his eyes, and it's almost like the way they shot him, he's like,
well,
his
yeah,
eyes are kind of like poking out, and when he stabs, you only get, so it's almost like I imagine him making like a face under his mask. I'm like, oh, that's not scary. Where if I don't see the eyes, very scary.
That's something that I've always asked people is like when you're scaring behind a mask, if you ever scare anyone, what's the face you think you make?
I know the face I make.
Yeah,
just
I do.
Pissed off.
I do the same thing. I've asked a lot of people and I get weird responses like, oh yeah, I just realized like my face is going up here, my nose is all over, my eyes are wide open. Like,
I'll let the mask do the work.
Yeah, I'm very casual with mine too, but
I'm pissed because I'm sweaty and stuff.
That is a funny idea though. Like, what face was Michael making?
Right. Yeah. You would imagine it would be the same as the outer face, which is stoic and stuff. But anyway,
right. Okay.
It's not necessary.
Blue-eyed Michael, we see.
We see him. Oh, old Blue Eyes himself. It's Frank Sinatra, actually. Is what it is. Killing everybody in Haddonfield.
Strangers in the night.
Stupid. Anyway, so like I said before, Laurie is now she's back in it. She's Jamie Lee Curtis has reprised her role as Laurie Strode and is back in the movie, but it is a few years after the original, so there's no more long hair, natural Jamie Lee Curtis. She's doing her short hair now, but since it's a continuation of the original night, what do? We give her the most fucked up wig in the world. That wig is so busted.
It is.
It's busted,
It's
Lance.
so bad.
Oh, it's
and once
busted.
and like you said this before, but once you know this and once you see this, you cannot
can't
unsee it. And unfortunately, every time I watch it now, I go, God damn, we couldn't get a better wig.
You just got to comb it. You just take the straightener to it, wet it.
And it gets worse throughout the movie.
It does.
It gets
like bedhead.
more and more fluffed out,
Yeah.
and makes yeah.
No, it's not good, guys.
This movie has flaws. Most of the movies have flaws. I don't think one has much of a flaw.
It
but
has like there's some shadows, and you can see John Carpenter smoke, and
it wasn't John Carpenter, I don't think.
you can see someone smoke, but things like that. That's like, but the wig is busted.
Is super busted.
But we've got our original characters from the original that survived. We do get to see Annie again, but she's dead because, of course, Brackett eventually has to find out that she died.
Yeah.
So not only do we have Brackett, Loomis, Laurie, Michael from the original, we've got some new characters. We've got Jimmy and Bud, the EMTs that are just living it up in Haddonfield, man. Just picking up bodies, picking up chicks, and taking them to the clinic where we have. Is it like? I think it's 100 nurses. No, it's 110. There's a lot of nurses.
There's not okay. When you
There's
say
a lot of nurses and not a lot of patients. Let's just be honest.
it's a clinic, not a hospital. You've made that point.
They're overstaffed.
But at the same time, you get the feeling that they're just perfectly staffed. It's very quiet. It's very dark in the clinic.
They have a security guard who's like he's packing. He's got a. I don't even want to call him a security guard. I'm going to call him like the clinic deputy, deputy clinic.
Okay,
Mr. Garrett, right?
Mr. Garrett.
So we're introduced to Mr. Garrett, Bud, Jimmy. We're introduced to Nurse Jill, Nurse Karen. What do you?
I have to.
What?
Before we go through everyone, I'm so sad that we didn't get your impersonation of when Brackett finds out Annie's dead.
Oh, because I'm gonna do it still.
Okay,
I'm gonna do it
all
still.
right. Then keep going.
But I'm just saying, like, as far as characters, and we're introduced to new, so a lot of, not a lot. I'm kind of overdoing it, but there, a good amount of nurses.
Okay.
But we meet more police force, right? We meet like Brackett's second in command because there's one point where Loomis and Brackett are still, and Brackett has never seen Michael. He just knows that this psychiatrist shot somebody 6 times if he takes his word for it. So they're on the hunt for him, and what do they see in the streets? They see someone in a mask, and it's definitely not the Michael mask because he's wearing like blue coveralls. He's tiny. The mask face is silver. The hair is blonde. It's not Michael. Any deaf, dumb ass can see that it's.
Listen, this thing, he's supposed to be down the street. It's at a distance. You're looking for somebody similar. Come on. You got to give him credit. You got to give Loomis
I'll give him
credit.
a little credit that he was about to shoot who we would know is Ben Tramer. And if you did what we told you and wanted to watch the original and don't know who Ben Tramer is, Ben Tramer was possibly the love interest or the person that
Crush.
the crush of Laurie.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not Michael, but he's terrified because a bald-headed psychiatrist, telling him to stop in English. Stop. He's telling him to, like, in an English voice. Telling him to stop, wielding a gun.
Right.
Of course he's going to run. So he takes off, boom, gets hit by a car, into an ambulance. He is lit on fire, and there's a big commotion.
Can we talk about the fact that Ben Tramer, while Laurie's friends are all having sex at these houses, Ben Tramer's out trick-or-treating?
Well, Laurie, I have a thing about that. I don't know if Laurie was a senior.
She's 17 at the time, so she's either a late junior or an early senior.
Oh, you know what? She might be a senior because it's the fall. 'Cause
Right.
You're 18 when you graduate, pretty much, right? Okay, so she is a senior. She might have a crush on a younger Ben Tramer. I don't know if I was trick-or-treating by myself in any point in high school, but that's neither here or there, But anyway, he's trick-or-treating.
There he goes. And what happens?
He gets dead very much.
Very dead.
He gets very dead. Gets hit by a deputy that's just hauling ass down the street and hits Ben. He lights him up because he crashes into a truck and or a van rather, and the fire goes up, and Loomis gets to the body burning, and there's just this face again that only Donald Pleasence can do, and it's like, I know that's not him.
Right.
I'm not 100% certain, but I know it's not him. So, we get Brackett screaming in a very, very scary way. Is it him or not?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, there's shit's about to go down in a bad way. So
I love that Loomis's face drops because he himself knows without knowing that this wasn't the right guy, and he probably just killed like a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid, and it is totally his fault in search of Michael Myers. You know what I mean? So you see like the blood just go from his face, and he is just at a loss.
Oh yeah.
For what just happened.
Because he caused that kid to run in the street and die. So we have that, but we also have a new deputy coming forward, who is finding Brackett, and he's gonna call him by his first name, Lee. Other bodies across the Doyle's house. 3 kids. Lee, one of them was Annie.
I love the impersonation. It's so good.
Look, no, great choice by that actor. Fantastic sort of like unique way to deliver that line. But what are you going to do? You're about to tell your boss that they found his daughter dead. And I love Charles Cyphers' reaction. He's like, what? He can't believe it, but like, get in the car, let's go.
Right, but what I love about that is the small town reaction to that is like, you're obviously friends, and it's not just your boss who's the sheriff of the town. This, this guy, Annie.
If you're going to call him Lee, he's not your boss.
Exactly. So again, we're getting these great personal relationships, and I think it just tells the story of the small town of Haddonfield and the fact that these guys know each other, and he probably had a relationship with Annie in such a good way, like an uncle kind of way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Grew up with this guy. So I love that reaction. I love that scene in particular.
So this deputy Hunt, after he takes Loomis and Brackett to the house and they see Annie, it's just like, go on home, Lee. I'll handle everything. He's got a bit of a, I forget the actor, but he was in Coach.
Yeah. I know. I was just thinking of him too.
So, I mean, we're not going to have Brackett for the rest of the movie. And he gives Loomis, damn you. Loomis is usually very much in authority and very much in control. He's devastated because he's like, I could have done more probably. And Brackett lets him know that he could have. He's like, you let him out.
Right.
He just tells him it's his fault, and he leaves. And Loomis is, what are you going to do? Because you're like, I have to keep it together because I know the danger's still there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try and console you the best I can.
And you knew that this was going to happen, but now you've seen the aftermath of, oh, fuck, I was right. And everyone's dying, and like you were the key to let everyone know, and you tried.
Yeah, and you know what?
But it's really happening.
It's already a tumultuous thing. There's reporters everywhere.
Yeah.
Dana Carvey is there as one of the. I'm not joking. Dana Carvey is one of the.
I forgot about
the techs for the reporters. They're interviewing people. They're overhearing Loomis speak his rhetoric, his fantastical rhetoric when he's just talking about like it became an obsession with me, and so I realized all that stuff. And I'm not gonna watch the movie. It's awesome. But they're like, there's mayhem. There's like the townspeople are uproar. They're like,
I really love about the opening of the movie is it's chaos. It is total chaos, and that's from the start, where the first movie was just this slow build, and now we're in the middle of this chaos.
There's this part where they happen on the Myers house, right? And all the townspeople have decided that they're just going to like, because it's Michael Myers, so they're like throwing rocks and like at the Myers house, like they can't find him, but they're gonna. Like, what I love is watching the actors who are like doing it. They're like act like they're the townspeople, so they're throwing rocks and they're just like, and this and all of us and there. It's good stuff, man. But Loomis kind of equates that. He's like, the tribe. One of those was was murdered. This is a wake. You know, he's almost
Right.
like, yeah. And you feel that. You feel like the town is unhinged. They're like, this is bullshit. You son of a bitch. You were a kid when you killed your sister. We sent you off into the sanitarium. You should have stayed there. You done messed up,
Yeah.
Michael. And if we get you, we're going to get you. And what's funny is that all this is happening pretty much in the streets of Haddonfield. And Michael's like, you know what? I'm not going to be there. I'm going to go not there.
Yeah, right.
So Michael overhears on like a radio do the report, which is bad reporting, by the way. You don't say when the killer is at large.
Right.
You don't report on the radio. The killer seems to have gotten loose. The survivors, in case you want to try again, were taken to Haddonfield Memorial Clinic. He just like hears this. He's like, thank you.
It happens so often in the series. It's so subtle, but he's like, oh, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Like,
Shit, I needed
fuck,
that.
thank you. I didn't know where else to go. The whole town's after me, but I'll go to the clinic, I think.
Yeah, the clinic's on the outskirts of town conveniently. Let's go there. And because they're a little pissed off in town. I'm gonna
let them cool
get
off.
away. I'm gonna let them cool. That's so good. So yeah, he makes his way to the clinic where the majority of the movie takes place, which
Yes.
I will tell you, I absolutely love the clinic.
The clinic.
I love the clinic because it's so desolate. You get you're starting to get a bit of Carpenter's influence on it because, yeah, he was a writer, but he was involved. He was there.
Yeah.
And ish. I think he's even a producer.
Right.
This reminds me of The Thing right away. It's just this whole, like, again, what better way to freak the entire audience out than to say, oh, this is a safe place. You're away from the danger, but except the danger's already inside the house or
Right.
inside the clinic with you. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying.
And something that John Carpenter did in the first film was that those wide open shots that turn into this claustrophobic, dark tunnel vision almost. And a good majority of this movie is that claustrophobic, the dark hallways, just super small corridors and everything, and so many tight spaces that there's nowhere else to go.
Absolutely.
And again, we get to play with Michael in so many dark places and so many dark hallways and dark rooms and all this kind of stuff.
Which is
so
what
cool.
worked in the original. You got to continue this whole, he lurks in the shadows. He is in the shadows. But at they miss it a bit, because because it's a hospital, of course, there's surveillance. There's a lot of like CCTV, what Garrett, who's the deputy of the clinic, can see. And it's like, Michael is honestly not hiding. He's not even trying to be stealthy in a lot of moments. Like, he's walking across the lawn around the clinic looking for a way to get in, just walking, just chilling. And Garrett should see him if he was paying attention. He's just like, let me read this paper, let me watch the horror-thon. And Michael's just like,
because once again, what the fuck's going to happen in Haddonfield? I'm going to justify everything out of this film. Just get used to it.
Not to mention that the police are saying that the killer is still on the loose.
But he's not watching that TV. He's watching the horror-thon.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so like,
maybe he had to take a shit during the newscast. You know what I mean?
I mean, maybe he did. I mean, look, Garrett had it going on, right? He gets to work in a clinic with a bunch of nurses who are very attractive. They're all very cute and they're very nice, and he knows that he's got a bit of a swagger to him. He's a bigger guy. He's got the belt with the gun and everything like that.
All right.
He handles his business.
Yeah.
But the way he gets handled, he gets the business.
Yeah, he really does.
So now we're going to see Michael kind of like separate himself from traditional knives, traditional strangling.
Right.
He's going to be a little bit more of a craftsman. He's going to pick up some more weapons along the way.
Yes, he's evolving. He's changing.
Absolutely.
He's growing.
He's almost like, I could use the knife, and we all know what the knife does, and that's fine. But what if I try this? Ooh, a hammer. Yeah, I think it goes this way. But if I turn it around, this is gonna be terrible. That's the way Garrett actually gets it. There's some commotion. Maybe somebody broke in or something like that. you know, the phone lines are down.
Yeah.
Of course, tactical Michael is back,
He
cutting the
knows.
phone lines. So Garrett has to go check it out. And Garrett, I love it. Again, bigger guy, got a little bit of, you know, swagger to him. Checking out the closets or the, you know, the storage rooms and stuff. He gets the shit scared out of him by a cat, and so did we.
Yeah.
And
Jump scares.
yeah, he opens a door and he's like checking it out. I love the whole, I've checked 3 doors, so by the time I get to the 4th one, I'm like, it's fine. And it wasn't. Michael. Oh,
From behind the door.
Yeah, he's behind the door.
So everything is fine, and then boom, we see Michael. And
What a gruesome kill! They use a practical effect of a hammer. They used a shot of a hammer going into the back, into a head, and you're like, "Oh, they're not going to show this." They showed it. No,
oh god damn it!
Garrett's so dead.
Yeah.
So your last real line of defense at the clinic has been neutralized immediately.
All right, I want to start talking about Jimmy. We're gonna come back to Jimmy. Set up as a hero and the worst hero in movie history. He falls apart in this movie, but he's introduced as like this
Crush, love interest.
crush, but also like kind of a protector of Lori. Like you expect in the beginning, like, oh, this guy's probably going to be there till the end. He'll maybe die heroically, helping Lori get away from Michael. But that's kind of the way Jimmy's character usually goes in one of these movies. So we got Jimmy, very nice guy,
Very nice guy who's definitely flirty with Lori.
very flirty, interested.
I always love the way he says that he's like, he wants to bring her a Coke, right?
Yeah.
But if you notice, because he's trying to like keep his voice down because he doesn't want to get caught, because like
Yeah.
the head nurse is like. But if you notice the way it's shot, and if you listen to it, the K really pops on Coke. He's like,
It's such a good word to say, though.
oh
like,
yeah,
Coke.
oh yeah. And I never want a Coke until he says the
Yeah.
word. I'm like, oh,
It kind of makes you thirsty.
I want a Coke.
Yeah, I want Coke.
Yeah, that K really
Coke.
pops because he's so Jimmy played by Lance Guest, who's you know he's the last Starfighter, I think, in,
That's
in a
right.
Nick Castle directed movie.
Yes.
Think about that.
That's right.
Yeah, he's set up to be the hero, but he's not a great hero. He kind of fumbles. He fumbles the ball at the 5-yard line, basically.
Totally. Let's get back to that point in a minute, but let's talk about Bud.
We got to talk about Bud. He's my favorite character of the movie.
Of course, he's such an 80s like slasher character to me, but he's like one of the first, which is awesome.
Yeah, because Bud is played by Leo Rossi. He's just this Italian sort of like New York dude who's, you know, I guess got stuck in Haddonfield. Maybe he's also at the university. Who knows? He doesn't live there. You could tell, but you know, we'll believe that he does. And what's so cool about Bud is that he never pretends to be anything else.
Right.
I love that. I love a character, even if he's an asshole, at least keep him an asshole.
Right.
Don't blur the lines or anything like that. So, Bud and one of the nurses, Nurse Karen, they've got something going on. And I love how he's just like smoking weed in the hospital.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Dude, okay, like whatever you want to say about weed nowadays, but in the 80s, early 80s, you don't get to do that.
No.
1. 2, you don't get to do it in the clinic. It just like he's got the little roach clip and stuff, and he's just in the break room, just like
Bud's such a cool party bad boy. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, okay,
multiple
cool.
murders.
Yeah.
Everyone's dead. You brought in a victim. You've brought in bodies, and he's just like, I could go for a pizza right now, just a real extra sausage, and you're like,
Yeah.
son of a bitch, I want to be this dude.
And he also
Nothing phases
he
him.
dropped some knowledge on Jimmy, like never the patients, man. Never,
Oh, yeah.
or never the victims, patients, whatever.
No, he says, never, Jimmy, listen, old Bud.
There we go.
Never get into it with a patient. Nurses, that's a different thing.
Right.
The patients, it never works out. I'm telling you, listen, old Bud. And if he would have listened to old Bud, he might have, you know.
And I
fared
love that
better.
about Bud. He's like been around the block. Like he knows his shit a little bit, you know.
Bud's gonna be important because you either you love him or you hate him. So his death is gonna affect you one way or the other.
Right. And pretty quickly. I mean,
Yeah, Bud gets it pretty quickly because him and Karen are trying to get down in the hot tub.
that's
you
right.
know?
Down in the old therapy room.
Great. I want to go to this clinic, by the way. The clinics, okay, I don't know what y'all's experiences with clinics are, but the clinic I went to was like 4 doors. Everyone was coughing on you, and it was a big room, and nobody. There was always one fly, you know, and it was always around. This clinic's got its break room, it's got storage, it's got a therapy room with a huge like tub, a hot tub.
Yeah. And apparently it has a scolding level, which is awesome because I would love to be in a scalding hot tub of water. Personally.
Why not?
Right.
You know, Bud and Karen get in there. They're going to get pretty hot in the hot tub. You know what I mean? They're going to get in there.
Too
hot. You know, we gratuitous, you know, booze shots.
Booze. Booze.
We get a very gratuitous shot of Karen and Bud in there. And it's like, you know, I mean, when I was watching this movie, this was already, like I told you, I kind of watched them all at the same time. I was around 10, 11, whatever. So it's like, you knew that this was like, ooh, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly the noise I would make each time. And, you know, my brother was like, is he okay? But, so, you know, like Linda and Bob, I'm going to get you when you're trying to be intimate. I'm just going to get you. Right. It's not that it triggers me, because that's not me. It's just that I got to pick you off anyway, because that's what I like to do. Right. Might as well do it when you're most vulnerable. And when you're in a towel and or naked, that's probably a pretty vulnerable spot.
Right.
I think when I'm my most vulnerable is when I'm in the shower, right? Because when that moment that you're showering and the soap, and that's when the monster's coming, right?
Well, to me, it's for me it would be getting out of the shower and you're like drying off the delicate areas. And you're like, oh, that's when somebody.
That's when
like,
they get you.
Oh fuck!
That's when
like,
they get
what are
you
you
right
do,
in
man?
the chest.
Yep, you're done.
It is. But you know, Bud has to leave the hot tub because it's getting a little too hot. Why did it get a little too hot? Oh, yeah, because Michael turned up the heat.
And I love this shot as well because we get to see what's happening in the background. Again, it's a very like steamy room. It's so hot. Michael's shadow is what comes. We see his hand turn the knob to scolding.
Yeah, he turns it up, and it will get to scalding level.
Yeah.
They need a good scolding because they don't need to be in there. She needs to be looking after the kids. It's what the hell's going on.
That's right.
Do you know that Nurse Karen is in charge of the babies?
That's right.
She's in charge of the babies. She's like, well, I guess I could leave the door open in case one of the kids cries out. Okay, worst nurse ever.
Yeah, and didn't they say it's downstairs? Like, you're not going to hear him anyway.
No, like, the kid would have to be projecting.
Yeah.
You know, would have to be a very projected cry. And if you're looking over babies, they're like brand new. So get the hell out of here with that shit.
All right.
Well, you know what? It's Bud, man. It's the power of Bud.
So Bud reluctantly gets out, goes and checks, tries to play with some knobs, can't seem to figure it out. Michael from behind.
Dick Warlock in his awesome stunt coordinator style, you know, does the, you know, nice strangulation. You see him, you know, kind of fight it as in Bud, and then Bud falls to the ground.
Right.
Nothing we haven't seen before, but what we're about to see is something very new. He comes behind Karen. Karen's giving him, obviously conveniently, her back to the whole situation. Didn't see Bud die.
Right.
And Karen's already decided, you know what, this is bullshit. I gotta be a nurse. First of all, she was already late. She is the worst nurse ever.
And this is a break for her.
she was already late, and she already went on break. Get the fuck out of here. I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
But, you know, you mentioned the playfulness of Michael. He kind of puts his hand on her, and she's like, oh, yes. And she's like kissing it because she thinks it's Bud, puts the finger in her mouth. What would that taste like?
I know.
Like a bunch of blood and dog?
Dog, blood. What else would
gunpowder?
We get into this?
Oh, ham, because of Mrs. Elrod.
Little mustard on there?
A little mustard on it.
Yeah.
So, it's grimy. You can tell it's grimy as shit,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, totally.
But she puts it in her mouth and, oh, it's Bud. I know it's Bud, and it's not.
It's not. It's Michael. She turns around. But what I love about this is, like, just like in the Annie scene, there's somebody in the back seat. How many people now are like, oh, a hand? Who the fuck is this?
Right away.
She just plays along. It must be Bud. Who else could it be? But this is Michael Myers.
I think it's because he fools her by how he puts he's a blunt force object in he uses so much anger and or force and stuff, but when it's time to touch her, he just so delicately,
very delicately, and sells it. And that's that playfulness of Michael in this movie as we get our playful scene. And it's always with the hands, I feel like.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, because what else, you know?
It's the only thing that he can use to express himself. He's got the mask, he's got coveralls, so hand motions and whatnot.
So he uses his hand again when Karen realizes it's not Bud, it's Michael. He grabs her by the neck, starts dunking her back into the hot tub that is now scalding hot. And he just keeps dunking and pulling her out so you can see the effects that are happening, and her face just starts peeling and starts blistering. It's very uncomfortable to watch because you're torn as a young preteen and or teen kid. You're maybe torn because it's a very beautiful woman and with a nice body, but she's being just kind of ravaged, like her face is just blistering and peeling, and you're like, I don't like this.
No,
I don't like this at all. So he does it so much that she eventually dies from it.
And he holds her under there a while. Like you think just drowning, but this is hot water, and she's just blistering away. His hand's not, but her.
Oh yeah, I mean, because
her whole flesh is.
Yeah.
So then we throw her down to the ground. We see the aftermath, and then we move on.
That is one of the. I think if you're gonna talk about Halloween 2, you're gonna talk about that kill.
Absolutely.
It is a great kill as far as it being memorable, shock value. It's got everything as far as what a slasher in the 80s would give you. It's got a little bit of nudity. It's got very over the top kill. It's great.
Yeah.
What I like a little nudity with my kills. So sue me. Take me to court tonight.
And this is like a very aggressive Michael that we haven't quite seen yet. So.
Right.
That's.
I mean, you're going to see that throughout the film. I mean, every time he comes across, Dr. Mixter gets killed in an interesting way. Nurse Jill, Nurse Jill is later, but the other nurse who, is watching after. So many interesting kills. There's a little homage to the original of when Laurie is backed up and, his mask is lit slowly up.
Yes.
We see all that. Those are all fantastic stuff. This movie reintroduces the wheel, but shows you that it's now a mud tire or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
and something that I like to talk about a lot too is what I call like the great equalizer with Laurie. Laurie survived Michael once, and she has an inkling that he's coming again. She finds out that he's still on the loose from Jimmy, our thought to be hero, but at a certain point, she just has this feeling. There's a sense that he's coming back, but she's drugged out and she has a reaction to the drugs. And then they put her on sedation, and all of this becomes like this great equalizer where she may know that it's coming, but now she's got, not only did she fracture her leg or her ankle, so she's going to be dragging this leg around, but she's like out of it throughout.
She's out of it.
So,
I mean, her wounds she's sustained wounds, injuries, right? So like she's already, even if she didn't have a body full of drugs, she's out of it. She's at a disadvantage.
Right. And so now she's dragging herself through. She sets a trap for Michael.
Oh, right. It's a little bit, right? The oop-de-oop when she knows that she has the wherewithal to know that Michael is probably still coming, is probably there. Okay. Well, Laurie starts to have these like nightmares or little dreams where now she's seeing her. Well, because Jimmy does tell her that it was Michael Myers after her, and her reaction is, that little kid who killed her sister, he's in a hospital somewhere. So it's like there is a know who Michael Myers is, but now we're gonna play with the attachment between the connection between Laurie and Michael. So miraculously, out of nowhere, she decides to develop this connection and have these premonitions or flashbacks. That's a better word, of her as a young girl going and visiting a boy with a very defined jawline, at a hospital, who's like staring out of a window and like turns around and sees her. So let's unpack that for its kind of convenience and a little bit of absurdity. She doesn't know. Okay, real quick, guys, here's the big twist.
Spoiler.
Here's the big twist of the movie. Not only was Michael Myers after Laurie because, well, he was, but it's revealed that Laurie Strode is actually Michael Myers' sister.
Yes.
Big time reveal. He's her brother. It's revealed that way over, a barrage of sort of convenient like things. There's a break-in in a school, and he stabs the sister in like a drawing. And then it's revealed point blank by Nurse Chambers, who's back to collect Loomis, like take him out of Haddonfield because they're like, you're doing too much over here. That there's a secret file that was always sealed by the courts, and the governor was able to unseal it because in one night, by the way, in the same night, what happened? Michael Myers broke out and is killing people. Unseal the documents. We got to know it all.
Shit, there's a document. Let's go get it.
And I love how Loomis is like, I've seen all the files. He's just so annoyed. And it's like, yeah, you've seen all the files, but this one that says Laurie Strode was actually Michael Myers' sister. His parents, as in Michael's parents, gave her up for adoption or died in a car accident, whichever. She was a baby when she was given up. He didn't know her because she was born after he was committed. Then she was adopted by the Strodes. The Strodes said, keep this quiet. We don't want for the safety of the family because yeah, she might be tormented her whole life. Oh, your brother is the boogeyman essentially. So she grew up not knowing anything. But here's the point I'm trying to make here. Why would she just start having these dreams about visiting her brother or a boy in the insane asylum? And then now think, how stupid of a parent do you have to be? I want you guys to seal these documents. I never want to see them again. No connection to the Myers house. But Laurie, are you okay? Are you ready? After church, we're gonna go visit your brother at insane asylum. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. I'm trying to figure out how to defend this because I love it.
This is the
one scene. The thing about it is that she's way too old. Like this little girl is probably like
9 or 10,
11,
10
I think
or
she's
11,
a little bit older, and Laurie's 17 at this point, so that part doesn't make sense. If she was much younger, seeing Michael before she gets adopted or something, that would be great. But it's the fact that this little girl is way too old, and Laurie would remember this.
She would definitely remember it. So it's like, did this like lock or unlock these repressed memories? It doesn't track with what her parents decided, which was to have the court seal the documents to reveal that they were brother and sister. It doesn't track. It wouldn't make sense. So,
well, unless the parents died later on in her life, and
no. I'm talking about her Strode parents.
Yeah,
because she is a full-grown
man.
child.
I'm trying.
I know you are. Look, if you eliminate that part, which I know they want to see it. They want to see Michael in the asylum as a kid. They want to see that shit.
Yeah.
I get it, but it honestly is the biggest plot hole in the whole thing.
And we got a lot of them in the rest of the franchise,
for sure. But this one is like you're almost disappointed because this was penned by John and Deborah. Like you're like, how that doesn't make sense unless you want to just throw it up to that. It's just a dream that she had, and whatever. But no. Yeah, so back to what you said. Laurie does do the oop-de-oop because she figures, I got to get out of this hospital bed. I got to get out of this room because I know something's the foot. So she, very drugged up, gets out and has the wherewithal to put the pillows to make it look like a body. And if Michael finds her room, goes in, stabs the shit out of the pillows with a scalpel.
Yep.
She's not there.
She's not there. And where did she go?
Down the hall.
Down the hall. But she fucking falls asleep.
Yes, she goes down the hall, finds her room. She's like, obviously my phone wasn't working. I'm the only one. I'm gonna upgrade. I'm going to better. I gotta get the window view of the courtyard so I can see what the hell's going on in this world.
Right.
So she goes to another room, gets the phone, sees that it's not working. All the phones are down.
Right.
And then she just like falls asleep in like crouched near the door. Like if he were to just go, oh, there you are. That's all you would need to find her. But
she's sedated.
I know.
And that's the thing, is that she dragged herself through being drugged up to this point to at least get... She would have been dead.
Yeah, she would have been
dead. To
get to
this point. And this is like the scene that makes me always more terrified. Is like, you fucking fell asleep. Like, in the easiest place to be found. There's no... Like, it was just uncontrollable. Like, I'm out. I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. I did what I could, but now I'm out because I'm drugged up.
It's true. So, Nurse Karen is dead. Bud is dead. Again, this is a departure from... It's a higher body count. So we got Nurse Karen dead. We got Bud dead. Mr. Garrett. Dr. Mixter, who was drunk, but got... but successfully operated on Laurie's ankle or stitched her up or whatever. Pam, I think that's the other, or Susan is the other nurse that is killed. And now we have a weird sort of scene with a unique way to kill somebody for Michael. He gets the Nurse Alves is put on a bed and is hooked up to a drip and is slowly drained to death.
But like the fact that he wraps her arm with the needle in.
It's perfect. It's it's almost like he got one of the nurses. A ver, come here. I need help doing this because I don't know needles.
Please help me.
I don't do. I know what I want to do. I know what I want to get. I want to achieve.
Right.
I need your help to do it.
And it is so artistic. Like it is a completely black room. It must have been filmed in the same garage as the Loomis scene from the first movie. Driving out. It's all black except for this perfectly placed light on Aves, whatever. And she's bleeding out this super bright red blood. And this perfect, like, it's beautifully done. Like, whoever did it was great. Tied up this needle on her. They're draining her of her blood. It's just a really odd shot for the whole franchise for that film. We don't see anything happen other than this pool of blood coming from her.
Right. And right before this, we are down to 2 people only. 3, counting Lori, in the clinic. It's Lori, Jimmy, and Nurse Jill. Who's my favorite, obviously, because she's the one that I get, the best kill, I think. Did I say already what my favorite? If I said anything was my favorite, I track that in this movie, my favorite kill is Nurse Jill's
Jill.
But Jimmy finds Nurse Aves, the head nurse, and sees the pool of blood. Again, we're going to talk about the dumbest hero in this world because he's like, oh, all this blood. Let me walk through it real quick. First of all, I don't want to walk through blood. I'm going to leave footprints. I'm going to look like the prime suspect. Obviously, if I walk through a pool of blood and then just walk out of it. So he goes to check.
And also, who is the character that we're talking about? Like the head nurse, who was like the most serious, like whip cracker of them all. Great character because it added like some seriousness to the nurses.
Yeah.
But this is not a joke, obviously. So if you see a pool of blood like that underneath that person,
and he finds the drip,
you know, I'm not going in to touch that. I'm going to get the fucking cops. I'm getting out of here.
Right. And he told Nurse Jill, I'm going to go look for people. You go and look for, if you can't find anybody, get in your car, get the hell out of here. So, but before he continues his mission, he eats all the shit. He flings his legs up in the air, which was wonderfully done by actual Lance Guest, which was really cool. He falls and concusses himself. He's concussed. It's so stupid on how this happens to him.
Jimmy, man.
He's built up so much. He's gonna be the savior. He's gonna help her. Hell, he took down a shark in Jaws: The Revenge. So watch out. But no, what is his kryptonite? A pool of blood that he eats all the shit on.
And he knew what he was standing in, which is unfortunate for it. And again, Jimmy just falls apart even more after
he fumbles the ball. So, like I said, I love this movie because it follows the original that it's going to, when it goes into the third act, it's going to pick the hell up.
Right.
When it goes into the final, Lori finally sees Michael again, or the shape, it's going to pick up. Yeah, there have been murders, but like it's a murder and then, we have a bit to catch our breath or whatever. So as I mentioned before, Loomis now knows that Michael is after Lori because they're siblings. So as he's being escorted out of Haddonfield by this deputy, he takes his gun out, threatens the deputy to turn around and go to the clinic. I love that part. He's like, Dr. Loomis, you're getting yourself into a lot of trouble. Well, the freaking gun barrel's in his neck,
totally calm, totally.
And Loomis is like, what do you guys do? Fire a warning shot? Boom! Blasts the freaking passenger window, and the car just flips a 180. Ah, shit!
It's like a perfect 180 stunt car. Like it looked like it was from like a sitcom or something.
Yeah,
like, it's so perfect.
He looks like, I would imagine the deputy being like, Dr. Loomis, quit your shit already. And then when he fires the gun, inside he's like,
okay, I'm on it.
Jesus. So they're headed to the clinic, and when I said that Nurse Jill is my favorite, we have a little bit of Laurie kind of walking through the hospital. Michael finally is hot on her trail. You see it through CCTV, which was kind of brilliant. You see it through the monitors.
Yeah.
It's, she turns the corner. He's right behind her. They miss each other. Nurse Jill finally finds her. They've been looking for Laurie. Laurie! And she turns around all drugged up with the wig looking terrible.
Yeah, this is probably one of the worst parts
And
of the
now
wig.
think about this. Think about Laurie. You've been having hallucinations all night. You already had a reaction to the drugs. You're loopy. You're blurred vision. And you don't know what's real, what's not, what's the red pill or the blue pill. You don't know what the hell's going on. And what do you see? Michael, again, pop out behind Nurse Jill, stabs her with a scalpel.
Yes.
And raises her off the ground
Yeah.
in there's no score. There's no like, no, it's just silence as he's raising her. And if you watch this movie, watch Jamie's eyes. They just open up so cool. Jamie Lee Curtis does a fantastic job.
This is the first time that she's actually seen him
Again.
Right.
Since
But in the clinic, this is the first time that he's seen her.
Yes.
And this kill, we've talked about this. It's like there's not a struggle for him to get up, but it's like this very cool, like, look what I got.
Yeah.
And here I am, Laurie. Like,
he had to jam that shit in deep to get like
that's that's the way I see it, is like he cut enough to get some of his hand in the flesh kind of a thing, and just
he's holding the spine.
check this out. Like, and then there's a here I am,
Yeah.
like,
So now it's back to the cat and mouse. He's definitely toying with her. I can't believe that he is even trying hard to get her, because he sees that she's limping.
Yeah.
He's like, I know you are here in this clinic by yourself.
yes.
And I'm gonna have fun.
Right.
It just reads that way.
Yeah.
So it's like she's going to different places. He's almost getting her. She's in an elevator, like watching the door close, and he's just like walking so close to her that he only, like, honestly, if I wanted to get her, I would have been like, no. Let's open the elevator.
Yeah.
But he's just like,
Right.
If it closes, it closes.
This basement scene is so cool too, because again, that claustrophobia, there's literally room for one person walking like each way, and we get different colors on Michael. It's super dark, but you know for a fact that he is enjoying the chase because there's so many opportunities for him to actually grab her. She goes up through that little window, and then the tension between getting to that elevator, which has been done so many times since.
But honestly, what kind of elevator is this? Because every time I get into an elevator and it's closing and someone says, hold it, and you want to, because sometimes I'll be like, I didn't hear you.
Well, this is where the fear came from. I think older elevators didn't have those sensors.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, this is where the fear of those elevators came from.
Oh, okay, because he puts his hand and it gets caught, and a normal elevator would just be like, can you imagine? She's like, oh, I got him.
Yeah.
And then he puts his hand, and then the elevator just opens, and they're just like,
shit. Where do you go from there?
yeah.
All right,
So she gets away and, gets out of the hospital, the clinic. She's out. It's so great. You're like, she made it. She's smart enough to make it.
Yeah.
But what Nurse Jill showed us earlier is that Michael's like, no. You're going to have to get on a horse to get out of here, because I got all the cars. I took out, I flattened the tires. He's such a jealous girlfriend. He like,
all right, Taylor Swift.
He slashed all the tires. He keyed them as well, right? He said Michael was here, but he like busted the fuel lines, because you see that there's like oil or whatever on the ground. So like Laurie just like hides in a Cadillac that looks like it's from Christine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So it's a great hiding spot. I'd stay in there all night. I'd go there right now, as a matter of fact.
Right.
But
It is a very safe, because she is like tucked in there. Even if you look in the car, you may not see her.
Right.
And there's a bunch of cars in the parking lot.
Yeah,
so,
there's quite a few. So it's like,
and then our hero comes.
oh yeah, here comes Jimmy, all concussed. You thought he might have died, because you're like, what happened? I know it hurt, but did you die? So when he comes back, he gets in the car and he's like, humana. He's so out of it. He tries to start the car, and Laurie's like, do you not see I'm down here?
Right.
Because like, again, worst hero ever. And she's like, Jimmy.
Jimmer.
And he's like, it's okay.
He tries so hard.
We're going to get out of here. So he tries to crank it one more time, I guess. And he just goes, wait a minute. and he knocks out on the steering wheel. He knocks out on the steering wheel and just like, bang, it's just honking. So Michael is probably in the basement like, where'd she go? He's just like, oh, its clinic is so huge. I guess I could go back to the boiler room or the hot tub. Bang, the horn is honking. He's like, there she is.
There she is. Oh, right in the parking lot. Well, she ain't going anywhere.
Right. She's in the parking lot. Big mistake. I already got to those.
Yeah. He's probably like laughing to himself. Like, found my other one. My another trick.
What'd she do? Find Jimmy? Yeah, that'll save her. So, yeah, Jimmy knocks out, falls asleep, probably now dies because you're not supposed to let a concussed person fall asleep,
right.
As we all know. Falls asleep. So she's like, I guess I'm on my own again.
Right.
Thanks for nothing. And didn't even get her a Coke, by the way.
I know, and we never got our Coke. One thing that I love about this is this leads to that scene of like, there's so much tension. You just let the killer know exactly where you are. And now she looks at the doorway of the clinic, and it's just this big black doorway, and you're just waiting for Michael to come back. And there's a shot of the door, there's a shot of Laurie, there's a shot of the door, there's a shot of Laurie. You're just waiting. He's gonna come out. You know that he's in there. He never shows up, but who does?
Dr. Loomis is here to save Laurie, and all she has to do is say, "Hey, doctor, I'm right here.
But
I'm right here."
She can't.
She already talked to Jimmy. She can speak. Lance, come on.
She's in shock. She just watched her hero die.
I mean, he fell asleep. So she's this is the scene with the shirt. I don't know if y'all can see that, but yeah, she's kind of crawling, reaching for Dr. Loomis getting there, Nurse Chambers getting there, and the deputy getting there. The marshal, actually, he's a state marshal, and you know, Loomis takes them all in, and I love it that Loomis is just like, let's go. All right, we're in. He closes the doors behind him, and right when the doors close, although she's been crawling this whole time, is like. And then right when the doors close, full voice, enough to shatter glass, help me! Yeah. We can't hear you, though. We're behind the glass.
Yeah, well.
So now she's alone in the parking lot. Now she knows she has to get up and go to the door and knock on it. But who's already in the parking lot with her? He's back, baby.
Yes.
The Shape is back in the parking lot chasing after Laurie, which is a really cool shot. I love that under the red shot.
Yeah,
wonderfully done. You get to see the mask still from the original. It's kind of still put together.
Yeah, I just love that he is everywhere. He's on the outskirts of the clinic now at that parking or the entry of the parking lot.
Yeah.
So it's just this fact that he got all the way over there and now he's behind you.
Oh yeah.
And it's like corralling a chicken. You know, you're like, let's get back in there. Let's go.
Exactly. So he knows that he's like, I love it. But he hasn't seen Loomis. He's like, I still got her. She's all by herself because it killed everybody. He's so sassy under that mask.
He is in our version.
Yeah. So anyway, so he's going after her, and it's very scary. The tension is up, and it's building because you're like, oh, here we go. It's the keys. One more time. But she's banging on the hospital door because Loomis not only closed it behind her, he locked the shit. You know? So Loomis goes, saves her, pulls her in, closes the door, and here comes super monster activated.
Yes.
Michael, who is now gonna walk calmly.
Yeah.
And shatter the glass window.
He doesn't
door.
break stride.
No, he doesn't. That's what's so impressive.
Yeah,
He's just like,
I love it.
It's like glass breaks. What are you guys doing?
The glass just like melts over him. You know what I mean? It's just like, and I'm here.
Yeah, you just walk through like those beads, like, you know, like when people hang them over the deal. He's just like, what are you guys doing? Are you guys having fun? He's just, and then Loomis is like, what did you just do? He's like,
I may have underestimated you before, but goddamn,
did you just walk through a fucking door?
I locked the door for a fucking reason.
He just walked through the door. So Loomis is like, all right, shit. So he shoots like 3 or 4 times, and Michael takes all the shots and drops there dead. And Loomis is like, this part kind of goes a little unnoticed or because you're kind of focusing on Michael, but you see when he puts his arm around Laurie and he kind of whispers, "I should have never left you." Mm-hmm. I love that part.
Yeah,
that's so like because you don't see that bond really ever because after this, Jamie's done, but Jamie Lee Curtis is done, and the Laurie Strode character is done.
Yeah.
And then when that character comes back, Donald Pleasance has died. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's a nice little moment that we never really got a lot of. In the original, we wouldn't, but this one, he's just like trying to be that protector, and you know, he's like, I shot him dead. It's all good. Everything's fine.
But again, it's one of those things like he didn't know at the time that they were connected in that way, I guess.
Because like, if it was his, he said it became an obsession, right? He said that it was his life's work, and if it's your life's work, at the final moment you find out something new,
Yeah.
like it's gotta fuck with you. So I
Right.
think he plays that really well. He plays that up. He's like, I've learned all this new information. It means more to me. I know what's going on. So it's really cool. And it takes us to the final, the finality of the movie. Because of course he's not fucking dead, guys.
No,
Come on.
of course
He's
not.
not dead. He gets up, he kills the marshal who has been warned twice.
Don't
Don't touch him. No, don't touch him. He's still breathing. Yeah, I love that part.
Yeah.
You know, and then when he goes to touch him, get away from him. And the dopey ass marshal, he's not breathing, gets got right in the.
It's got. Yes.
Oh, he gets sliced with a scalpel. Very cool.
Yeah.
So it leads us to the final countdown, essentially to the final end, with Loomis and Laurie trying to get away from Michael, cornered into the major surgery room where there's combustible elements. So Loomis has a good plan. He's gonna like hunker down in there, make Michael do his superpower again, which is walking through frickin' doors.
Yes.
So he is gonna post himself on the other side of the door, and when Michael busts through, gonna pop him right in the head. Beautiful plan.
Great.
If only you had bullets, because it's just a 6-shooter. It's a revolver. So he shot. Remember, he shot the warning shot. So he may have fired it 5 times at Michael.
Right.
So when he tries to shoot him, Michael just, the hell?
The
Fucking shoot at me. He hears the click. He hears the click, and Michael's like, He just stabs Loomis in the chest, and it's the first time you see Loomis in that real vulnerable spot.
Yeah.
It really fucks with me, man.
Yeah.
Because I never like seeing him get hurt, because
Yeah.
you love him.
Right. Yeah, and he is such the protector of. He's supposed to be the protector. Jimmy, you know, we flirted with the idea, but Loomis, at the end of the day, is supposed to be the protector and, you know, voice of Michael, and the one saying like, stay away from this fucking guy, and he's not dead when you think he is. So to see him hurt and thrown across the room, yeah, man, it hurts. It hurts us very much.
It hurts him for sure, but it definitely hurts me.
Yeah.
So before he was able to post up, he did give Laurie his second gun, which would have been perfect if he had held on to that, because the plan would have worked.
Yeah.
But Laurie is now, it's her and Michael, and there's a cool moment because she says, Michael? Now she knows, because she's like, I know who you are. And as he's approaching her, he stops, puts his scalpel down, kind of gives her the head tilt, which Dick Warlock does do a good job of this part.
I love
It's
it.
Very creepy. He nailed that.
Yes.
But then he's like, but I still want to kill you.
Yeah. That's the whole point.
He's like, yeah, I know. Oh, you know who I am? Cool. Gonna
Cool.
kill you anyway.
Right.
So she has no other choice but to use this gun that she's never used, and is the best shot in the world. I'm gonna
Crack
take her to
shot.
all the gun competitions.
Yeah.
You know, clay shooting, whatever.
It's the
I'm
first time
taking
she's
Laurie
shooting
Strode.
a gun. It has
Yeah.
to be, right?
Oh, it is. It is, because she's 17. She forgot her chemistry book was the biggest thing that happened in her life.
Right.
And now she's shooting a gun at a killer who's coming at her in a mask, and what she nails him twice in the eyes. Should kill him, but it's not, because he's not evil. He's not a human. He's not human.
Not
This
human.
guy.
This guy. That's my favorite.
He's pure evil. So he takes the shots, and again, beautifully illustrated on Lance's shirt. Blood starts pouring down from his eyes. So he's not dead, but he's definitely blind.
Yes.
So his eyes are human, but his whole self is not.
I love there being some human element. He is a man at some base.
Yeah.
So when he's hurt and he's covering his eyes and he starts slashing in the darkness at Laurie in her general direction,
Right, because
I dig it.
when you get shot in the eyes, you forget where people are.
he goes in her direction until he hears something else. If you got shot in the fucking face at all,
I wouldn't be doing anything.
You'd be a little disoriented.
I'd be dead, Lance, because I'm normal. I'm a
Well,
human.
if you were Michael Myers,
Okay, if I was Michael Myers, I'd be like, ugh,
God damn it! And just think about like the ringing in your ears, maybe from hearing a gunshot in a small ass room.
Right. No,
You're gonna be a little disoriented.
He's been troubled right now. He's inconvenienced at this point. Now he's blind, which doesn't affect him ever later. But have you noticed that? Anyway, so Loomis is not dead either. So he is going to have the another. He's an idea guy. He's got like, how do I solve this situation?
Right.
Look at all these combustible tanks.
Perfect.
Let me light them. Let me open this shit up. So they
Yes.
open all the tanks up, and he's trying to, because Michael can hear, but so he's trying to tell Laurie to get out, and Laurie doesn't think of it. So he's like, and then he finally is like, all right, I'm gonna have to spell it out. So he, get out now. Get out now. It's so great. And she's like, oh yeah.
Got it.
And Loomis, as the ultimate awesome protector, hero, Dr. Samuel Loomis sacrifices himself to take down the monster. Very Frankenstein.
Yes.
With the Dr. Frankenstein. Like, you have to almost, you're responsible. So he takes out a lighter, says it's time, lights the shit, and we go up in flames, baby.
Yeah, big explosion,
Super big.
which is awesome. Laurie just gets out of the way of this. You mentioned.
Right, she barely dodges it, and you know what? Nobody would survive that. Except Michael survives it for just a little bit. It's a cool firewalk by the stuntman. Walks, maybe about 10 feet or something, and then eventually
just completely engulfed, which is awesome. You don't see any Michael in there. It's just completely
It's
engulfed.
a fire. Yeah, it's just a fireman,
Yeah.
Not the fireman.
Not the fireman, but
So he just falls down, and you see what should be the end of Michael Myers as we know it, burning to a crisp as Laurie is taken care of and is put in an ambulance to be transferred to the hospital, one would assume, because this one is not working anymore.
we're out of commission.
And while she leaves, a very ominous but weirdly supposed to be kind of fun and uplifting song of Mr. Sandman comes over the radio. Laurie is hopefully going to live a long life without Michael coming after her. And that's Halloween 2.
That is Halloween 2. And the Sandman part of the soundtrack, it's funny because I don't think it fits Halloween 2 as much as it fits down the line when they use it, but still cool.
I think they use it right down the line, and it makes more sense because it is an homage. But that's how the movie actually opens, with Mr. Sandman.
Yeah, and I appreciate it in the opening, but in the ending, there's just something that's not quite.
It was one of the things I was like, it would feel more. I guess it's a little bit of life goes on.
Yeah.
You survived the nightmare. It's supposed to be uplifting, I suppose, but yeah, it does. I don't think it works.
Yeah,
but it's fine.
It's fine.
Halloween 2, more of the night he came home, definitely delivered on the scares. It elaborated on the story, whether it was the right way to go or more, it made more.
I like the connection.
Okay.
Because this builds the world, and we get 4 and 5 and 6 and so on because of 2, and even H2O we get because of 2, and it makes more sense. We get to dive into more characters because of this connection. That's why I love it. I love the world building. It has its flaws, but it bleeds from the first, which we fucking love. We absolutely love that movie.
Hey, you know what, Lance? I love this with you, man. I do.
But you don't love it as much, and you made me defend it.
But if you love something, defend it.
Okay.
Look, Halloween 2 scared the bejesus out of me as a kid. I thought it was a beautiful connection to the original, just for the longest time I had it in as far as my second favorite in the franchise, and just recently that's been changed, but that's me.
And you're wrong. What's your rating? Not Kitchen Knives. How many?
Kitchen Knives. Right. I love this movie, so I'm going to give Halloween 2 4.
Okay. And because I believe in it being so great, heightening every sense of the first film and the first film bleeding into this one, I give it a 5.
All right. On
Yes.
par and equal with the original.
Yes.
Okay, Lance.
Yes, absolutely.
I respect that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. All right. This has been Slashers Paradise Halloween 2 1981. That's Danny.
That's
I'm
Lance.
Lance. Join us next time for Halloween 3 with no Michael Myers.
But it's okay. Come back. It's fun.
It is fun. We love the movie. But anyway, we'll see you next time.